Hey guys, this is Eddie the Magic Monk. In this math lesson, I'm going to try my best to explain to you guys what is standard deviation. So, standard deviation measures how spread out the data is. If you have a look on the screen, we have two sets of data. Basketball team A has 7 players and these are their heights. And basketball team B has another 7 players and these are their heights. And we can see that basketball team A, the players are all quite similar in height. Whereas basketball team B, the heights are all very spread out. So what that's saying is that basketball team A is going to have a smaller standard deviation than basketball team B. So basketball team B is going to have a higher standard deviation because it's more spread out. The data is more spread out, whereas basketball team A is not as spread out. Okay. So the first thing we need to do to find the standard deviation is find the mean. So the mean is indicated by the symbol X with a horizontal bar above it, and the mean is calculated from the sum of X divided by N, which is the number of scores. So basically we're going to add all the numbers together and divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divided by 7, and we get 180. And we're also going to do the same thing on the other side. So the mean for basketball team B is 150 plus 160 plus 170 plus everything behind it divided by 7, and we get 180. So both of these teams have the same mean. The average for both teams are the same, but the average does not tell us anything about how spread out the data is. So once we do find the standard deviation, what does that tell us? So the standard deviation tells us that 68%, let me just make that clear, 68% of the players will have a height between the mean minus the standard deviation and the mean plus the standard deviation. So we haven't calculated what the standard deviation is yet, but let's say the standard deviation was 3. Then what that's saying is that 68% of the data, or in this case 68% of the players' heights will be between so X is their height, will be between the mean, which is 180, minus 3, so 177 to 183. So that's why the standard deviation is useful, because we can use that to tell us the range of most of the players' heights. Okay, so let's now take steps to actually calculate the standard deviation. So the standard deviation is the average difference between each score and the mean. So what that means is, have a look at our scores. These are our scores: 175, 177, 178. We're going to find the difference between each of these scores and the mean, and we're going to average them and see what the average difference is. So to help us with doing that, we're just going to draw a table with all the x values. So we have 175, 177, 178, 180, 182, 183, 185. And we're going to find the difference between each of these scores and the mean, which is 180. So x minus the mean. So you can see the mean, as we calculated previously, is 180. So we're just going to get each of these numbers minus 180. So 175 minus 180 is actually negative 5. And then we have negative 3, negative 2, 0, 2, 3, 5. Now, what's going to happen if we try to average these numbers? If we went negative 5 plus negative 3 plus negative 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 and divided by 7, we will get 0. Why is that? Because some of these numbers are negative and some of these numbers are positive, and they cancel each other out to 0 when you add them together. So if that's the case, then the standard deviation of all different data sets will be 0. So it's not going to work. So what we're going to do, actually I shouldn't say that it'll be 0 for all different data sets, because they probably won't be symmetrical like this one, but the negatives will definitely influence the positives, which is not what we want. So what we're going to do is something that will get rid of the negatives, and we're going to do that to every single number here, and that is we're going to square them. So the next column is going to be the square of each of the differences. So we're going to square negative 5, so negative 5 squared. Make sure if you're typing this in the calculator, you include the brackets. So negative 5 in brackets squared is 25, 9, 4, 0, 4, 9, 25. And after you square them, the negatives are now gone. So what happens now is we can actually average these. So we're going to average these numbers, but because we square them in the first place, we're going to square root our final answer, so that we can cancel out the effect of squaring them. So basically the standard deviation formula looks like this. The standard deviation equals the sum of all the squared differences between x and the mean divided by how many there are, because we're averaging it, and then we're going to square root the answer at the end. So therefore, adding all of this together, we have a sum of let's go 25 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4 plus 9 plus 25, 76. So we have 76 is the sum of this column here, so 76 divided by there are 7 scores, so divided by 7 and then square root. So in the calculator, 76 divided by 7 and square root that, oops, square root of 76 over 7, 3.29. Which was very close to what we guessed initially. So if you have a look, what we're going to do now is change the standard deviation to 3.29 and adjust our range